You've tried to destroy her character, her citizenship, her family. J.D. Vance's voice was a low, chilling whisper that cut through the quiet cafe. So I'm going to give you one warning, Ms. Crockett, and I suggest you listen. Your time is up. The storm had passed, leaving behind the wreckage of Jasmine Crockett's career. She was a ghost in the halls of power, a pariah whose calls went unanswered. The federal investigation into her forged document hung over her head like a guillotine. Publicly, she was silent, but in the dark, fetid corners of the internet, a new poison was spreading. Usha Vance found it on a quiet Tuesday morning. It wasn't on a major news site, but in a shadowy ecosystem of anonymous blogs and conspiracy forums. The new narrative was insidious, a whispering campaign of treason. It was a tangled web of lies suggesting that Usha's family, through distant relatives in India, had ties to a rival foreign intelligence agency. There was no proof, only insinuation. No evidence, only questions. It was a smear designed to be impossible to disprove, a stain of disloyalty that could never fully be washed away. She showed it to her husband. J.D. Vance read the posts, his face growing colder with every word. They had attacked his wife's citizenship, her character, her children. Now, they were attacking her patriotism, the very core of her identity as an American. The public battles had been draining. This felt different. This felt like a violation of the soul. "It's her," Vance said, his voice flat and dangerous. "I know it is. She can't use the media anymore, so she's gone underground." He took the information to the Oval Office. President Trump read the vile posts, his expression hardening into one of grim resolve. "The public war is over, J.D. This is a shadow war," Trump stated, his eyes narrowing. "And in a shadow war, you don't use a press conference. You use a scalpel." He swiveled in his chair and made a call, not to his press secretary, but to a trusted contact in the intelligence community. The request was simple: trace the digital origins of this new smear campaign. Find the source. The information came back within hours, and it was exactly as Vance had suspected. Jasmine Crockett was the ghost in the machine. She had been secretly meeting with a network of radical online bloggers, feeding them these poisonous narratives, laundering her hate through their anonymous platforms. "She's meeting with the biggest one this afternoon," Trump said, showing Vance the intelligence report. "A blogger who goes by Veritas. A quiet cafe downtown. A back booth. She thinks she's a spy master." The president leaned forward, his voice serious. "We can leak this to the press, expose her as the source again. Or you can handle it." The choice hung in the air. Vance thought of his wife's quiet strength, the pain in her eyes as she read the lies about her loyalty to the country she loved. He thought of his children. The endless cycle of defense had to stop. It was time to go on offense. "I'll handle it," Vance said, his voice devoid of any hesitation. That afternoon, the cafe was a quiet oasis in the bustling city. The smell of coffee and old books hung in the air. J.D. Vance sat in a dimly lit booth, nursing a black coffee, a book lying unread on the table. He was dressed in a simple polo shirt and slacks, without the usual entourage of a vice president. He looked like any other man, but there was a coiled tension in his shoulders, a focused intensity in his gaze that was anything but ordinary. At precisely 3 p.m., Jasmine Crockett walked in. She looked harried, paranoid, a shadow of her former self. She scanned the room, her eyes darting nervously before settling on the back booth where her contact was supposed to be waiting. Instead, she saw him. She froze, her blood turning to ice. Her first instinct was to turn and run, but she was trapped, pinned by his unwavering stare. It was the look of a man who had been pushed past every conceivable limit. Slowly, as if in a trance, she walked to the booth and slid onto the bench opposite him. Her mouth was dry, her heart hammered against her ribs. What, what are you doing here? She stammered, her voice a reedy whisper. J.D. Vance didn't answer immediately. He took a slow sip of his coffee, his eyes never leaving her face. The silence stretched, becoming more terrifying than any shout. I know about Veritas, he said finally, his voice low, calm, and utterly chilling. I know about the network. I know you've been feeding them lies about my wife's family, trying to paint them as traitors. Crockett tried to rally, to summon her old arrogance. I don't know what you're talking about. You're harassing me. This is... Stop, Vance said. The word was not loud, but it had the finality of a slamming cell door. Just stop talking. You're going to listen. He leaned forward, his voice dropping even lower, forcing her to lean in to hear him. You have spent weeks, months, trying to destroy my family. You've tried to have my wife deported. You've lied about her character. You have brought the names of my children into your disgusting games. You did all of this in public, hiding behind your title and a television camera. But this, he said, gesturing around the quiet cafe, is different. There are no cameras here, Ms. Crockett. There are no reporters. There is no audience. There is just you and me, the husband of the woman you have been trying to ruin. His eyes were like chips of ice. The calm, folksy politician was gone, replaced by something primal and fiercely protective. You have tried to destroy her character, her citizenship, her family. His voice was now a low, chilling whisper that seemed to suck the air out of the space around them. So I'm going to give you one warning, Ms. Crockett, and I suggest you listen very, very carefully. From this moment on, you will never write my wife's name. You will never speak her name. You will never speak the names of my children. You will not communicate with your network of online liars. The Whisper campaign ends tonight. The blog posts stop. The conspiracies die. If I see one more article, one more anonymous post, one more mention of my family that traces back to you, and believe me, it will always trace back to you, I will no longer respond with press conferences or legal briefs. The president will not give a speech. We will consider it a direct, personal threat to the safety and security of the family of the Vice President of the United States. He let that sink in, let her contemplate the full, terrifying weight of what that meant. The gloves will come off, he continued, his voice barely audible, but carrying the weight of an oath. The full force of every resource I have at my disposal will be brought to bear, not on your political career, because you no longer have one, but on your life. We will investigate every friend, every financial transaction, every skeleton in your closet, and I promise you, we will find them. This will not be a political fight. It will be a personal annihilation. He leaned back, his point made. You have waged a war against my family, but you are about to learn what it means to be at war with me. Your time for games is over. He stood up, leaving his coffee untouched.
Your time is up!
He turned and walked away, leaving Jasmine Crockett sitting alone in the booth, trembling uncontrollably. The arrogance was gone. The defiance was gone. All that was left was pure, unadulterated fear. She had finally understood. She had not been fighting a politician she disagreed with. She had been tormenting a family, and she had just been given a chilling, personal promise. From the husband and father she had pushed too far. The game was, indeed, over. In a quiet cafe, away from all cameras, J.D. Vance delivered a final, chilling warning that ended the war. What was it about this private, personal confrontation that made it more effective than any public statement could have been? Share your thoughts below, and for more stories of ultimate justice, subscribe.